Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
You know, you people are getting on my nerves. You're getting on my nerves. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're getting on my damn nerves. Ladies and gentlemen, before I sit up there and introduce anything, before I get into these reads, Jonathan Winthrop, Jonathan, stop laughing at me. Look, ladies and gentlemen, there is no truth whatsoever to these bogus rumors that I jumped on a basketball court in Philadelphia last night and stopped the fight between Eric Bledsoe and Joel Embiid. That was not me. Okay? It was not me. I was on the other side of the arena. First of all, I'm a little lighter in weight. I must admit, the head is about that size and so is the hairline. So I can understand the plausible mistake. But we live in an age of technology where you can zoom in and zoom out. Zoom in, as my man Kevin Hart would say, and zoom out. You could see that that's not me. I'm not jumping into the middle of this pit bull that is Eric Bledsoe, along with the 7'1" Joel Embiid. I'm not jumping in the middle of that. I did not at all run onto the court and stop a fight between Bledsoe and Embiid. It was not me. I cannot believe that this stuff has gone viral. I cannot believe that people have been talking about it all over social media. I cannot believe that I got bosses sitting up there wanting to call me into their office because they thought it was me jumping onto the court instead of leaving such responsibilities to the great NBA security members that the National Basketball Association has. It was not me. I was in the arena in the back. I was in the media room drinking some lemonade, and then after that I came out and saw Allen Iverson. And if you don't believe that, check social media because he put a picture of him and I hugging on the damn social media. Okay? It was not me. I did no such thing. But I got to tell you, damn, from a distance, it did look like me. Yeah, I have to admit, my head size and, the hairline, my man Bomani Jones just finished making fun of me sitting there, Stephen A. I said, I might have to go bald. My head, that guy hairline, people think it was me. It might be time for me to go bald. Bomani said, come on home, Steve. Stephen A, come on home, baby. Come on over to the side. It's about that time because he's bald. He said, let it go. Let it go. I'm trying to hold on. I don't give a damn if I look like George Jefferson. Don't bother me. I'd rather do that than be bald. That's just me. That's just me. But I got to tell y'all something right now. Just to be clear, I do think I look pretty damn good for 51 years old. I must confess. I mean, any time, and this is not to disrespect anybody from my alma mater, Winston-Salem, or anything like that, but anytime I have a diminished level of confidence, all I do to boost myself is go back to homecoming. That's all I do. I go back to homecoming and I see the people that I went to school with, and I'm like this. I am doing just fine. And the minute I see that, I'm like, I'm doing just fine. I'm all right. I'm all right. Because, some people that was going to school in the late 80s and early 90s, would I put myself up against them? That's all day, every day. I'm sorry. I'm just sorry to say that. Anyway, welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do every weekday over the airways of ESPN Radio and ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Hey, get knowing. Time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Couple of things that I wanted to get into. Like I said, I was at the game last night. And of course, we're going to get into the Final Four. Please don't get me wrong. We're going to get into the Final Four. Michigan State, Texas Tech, Virginia, Auburn. Those are the teams in the Final Four. None of my damn teams made it. North Carolina didn't make it. Duke didn't make it. Gonzaga didn't make it. Tennessee at the number 2 seed, they didn't make it. None of my teams made it. So who the hell am I? But for those of you who care what I may think about the outcome of this upcoming Final Four, so be it. I was in top 1% until a damn Sweet 16, top 5% until the Elite 8, and then everything fell apart. Anyway, having said all of that, here we are. I was at the game in Philadelphia last night, and Giannis and the Greek freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo against Joel Embiid going up against one another. That was something to behold. People debating whether or not that could be the best rivalry in sports. In basketball, rather, could be. I don't think it's there yet. But I got something different on my mind, and it's something that is important to point out. Because there are people out there talking about Magic Johnson right now and the Los Angeles Lakers. And obviously, the New York Knicks are involved as well because people are talking about Kevin Durant and his preferred destination and where he may end up, all of this other stuff. There are some people that have been saying he'd be an absolute fool to go to the New York Knicks. And I got to admit to you, that might be the case, but not for the reasons that you believe. When you talk about the possibility of Kevin Durant ending up in New York or ending up a New York Knick to be specific, and you want to associate the word stupidity with that decision, here's the only reason why I think it would be foolish. Because the Brooklyn Nets appear to be a better situation right now. That's it. The Nets appear to be a better situation. They've got cap space. They've got young talent. They're going to the playoffs. They do not have a star. As far as I'm concerned, in Atkinson, they got a pretty damn good coach. They got nice, young, talented players. And then we also have to couple all of that with the fact that, guess what? Sean Marks and those boys, they've got leadership in play. When I look at the two biggest players potentially in free agency, it's amazing to me. New York and LA, the top two markets in the United States of America, both have teams that could be making noises, but neither of it is from their signature franchises, the Knicks and Lakers respectively. When we're talking about free agents and the likelihood of where they could land up or the preference in terms of where they should end up, we're talking the Brooklyn Nets and the Los Angeles Clippers. We're not talking Knicks. We're not talking Lakers. But according to Rick Bucher, who was on Fox Sports Radio the other day, talking about the possibility of where Kevin Durant would be, he was talking about how he heard, for the Bleacher Report that is, that Kevin Durant to the Knicks is a done deal. I haven't heard that, but I'm not going to cast any aspersions on my buddy and contemporary Rick Bucher, who has forgotten more stories in this business than most people know. I know a lot of people is very fond, if you disagree with him or you think he's wrong, you got a lot of people that'll be out there being the haters that they are. They want to use that as an excuse to denigrate them. I will remind you that even if Rick Bucher ended up wrong about this story, and I don't know that he is wrong, that man has broken enough stories in his career for y'all to sit the hell down, shut the hell up, and pay your respects. Let's be very, very clear. See, this is the thing that really, really gets to me sometimes. We live in an age, John and JC, I'm looking at two of my producers. We live in an age where you got people calling out and bringing into question the credibility of others who actually had credibility, if not still have it, when they never had it ever in their careers. You're a blogger. You've never been a reporter, or you're a reporter and a beat writer who's never broke a damn story. And because we live in an age where the advent of social media has proliferated, and obviously there's access to the digital world and the television broadcast world and the radio broadcast world, and you have a microphone in front of you, you think that you get to call people out when you never broke a damn story in your life. See, I can sit up here in this seat right now, and it could be somebody for Fox, or it could be somebody for CBS, or it could be somebody for Yahoo, or the Bleacher Report, or the list goes on, and I can give them love. You know why? Because I'm not insecure. I know what I've done in this business. I've been doing it 25 years. And any beat writer out there that's got something to say about me, as my brother Chris Haynes for Yahoo would say, don't forget my resume. Just you say what you want about Stephen A. Don't forget his resume. From a school newspaper to a clerk at the Greensboro News and Record. Working for free, covering for high school football in Archdale, North Carolina, for crying out loud, in the Piedmont Triad area. To starting off in this business as a high school reporter, to going to the Philadelphia Inquirer, to being CNNSI, to Fox Sports, to ESPN, to being elevated from a high school writer to a general sports columnist in this business. And a blogger has the right to sit up there and try to call cats out? You got to be kidding me. Where's your credibility? So if Rick Bucher says this, let me be very, very clear about where I'm coming from and where I stand. I haven't heard that about Kevin Durant. I haven't heard that it's a done deal. But if it turns out that it's not, all right, Rick Bucher might have been given false information. That, to me, is no excuse to bring into question his credibility when he has a track record spanning years of knowing what the hell he's talking about. So let's see what happens with Kevin Durant. It clearly seems one of those situations where it seems unlikely to me at this particular moment in time. I got to admit to you, I'd be surprised if Kevin Durant ended up with New York Knicks, because Kevin Durant, obviously, I'm not going to accuse him of having thin skin because I respect the brother. What I'm going to say to him, so what I'm going to say about him, rather, is that the media can be quite annoying. And if the media is quite annoying now, what the hell is it going to be like when he comes to the New York Knicks? I'm praying he comes because I'm a Knicks fan for life. And I know what Kevin Durant would bring to the table. And I'm praying that he brings somebody with him because I know what he would bring to the table. And the obvious, and him with Kyrie Irving, a healthy Kyrie Irving. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, that's box office right there. That's something special to behold, make no mistake about it. And I would love to see it. But it remains to be seen what will happen. 888-SAY ESPN is 888-729-3776. But the other side to all of this is that Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors were playing against the Lakers last night. LeBron James, who's been sat down for the remainder of this season, was on the basketball court, nevertheless, in street clothes, talking to Kevin Durant while holding his mouth. What did I tell y'all about LeBron James and that narrative? What did I tell y'all about LeBron James and narratives? And now you got Kevin Durant and others following suit. I'm not criticizing them. It's fine. I'm just telling you what it is. You really, really think LeBron James and Kevin Durant both have homes in L.A. LeBron James and Kevin Durant both have each other's cell phone numbers. Remember when Kevin Durant said something about LeBron being a teammate of his, potentially being toxic, and how LeBron confessed to our very own Rachel Nichols that he was somewhat put off and offended by what he said? But then they got on the phone and spoke about it. So if they got on the phone and spoke about it, that means they could get on the phone with each other anytime they wanted to, right? Which is exactly what they can do. So why the hell are you talking in front of the cameras with your mouths closed at that particular moment in time? You know why? Because you're trying to garner attention and bring attention to yourself for whatever reason that may be. This is what I mean. One of the things that I mean about LeBron, his insatiable appetite to control the narrative. You ain't playing anymore this season. You need rest. You missed 18 games. The groin injury. You came back, reminded us of your greatness, but Magic Johnson and the Lakers have elected to sit you down. Why would you feel the need to talk on a basketball court? You know why? Because you want the damn attention. That's why. You want people talking about you. That's why. You want your Instagram and Twitter and Facebook followers built and proliferated even more. That's why. That's all I'm saying. There's no crime in that. I wish I had more followers. There's no crime in it. There's no crime in it at all. But don't deny it if somebody asked you. There's no reason for them to be on the court talking with the cameras zeroed in on them unless they wanted the damn attention. Well, if that's what you wanted, don't whine, moan, and you know what, when you get the attention that you clearly craved. Now, as for them playing together in L.A., people are ruling that out. They can't see it. Me neither, but only because I don't see Kevin Durant trying to help LeBron James win more titles. I think Kevin Durant would prefer to go someplace else so he could win more titles than LeBron. That's me. But would I completely rule it out? No. I think a lot of these cats want to live in Southern California. I think the thought of Durant with LeBron would be spectacular. I think that's instant title contention. I think if you're Kevin Durant and you're going to leave the Splash Brothers and go to State, why wouldn't you want to go to LA? If you're Kevin Durant, who would you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? Who should you rather play with, Kyrie Irving or LeBron? And so Kevin Durant, leaving all his options open. This is what we're talking about. And whether or not that materializes into something remains to be seen. It really, really does. But I wouldn't rule it out. I'll tell you this much, though. In terms of pressure, and who has the most pressure on them, in terms of making sure talent comes to L.A., once upon a time I would have said LeBron. But after the season the Lakers have had, I'm going to put that onus on Earvin Magic Johnson. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be very, very clear about what I'm about to say. Magic Johnson's Magic Johnson. He's one of the rare individuals in the history of sports who deserves to be deified. He's that special. This has not been a good year. The Lakers in the second half of this season have been an unmitigated disaster. Period. And it falls on Magic Johnson. If you want to say it falls on Jeannie Buss, I would say to you, is for this reason and this reason only. That Rob Pelinka is there. Because obviously they had a relationship before Magic Johnson took over, and some believe that Jeannie Buss has everything to do with Rob Pelinka being there. I don't know whether that's true or not. I'm only telling you what people say. Here's my issue. I think Rob Pelinka, there's a lot of jealousy out there. There's a lot of envy out there. You got people out there who want him to do badly. They don't like him. They didn't like him when he was an agent. They don't like him now that he's in the GM's position. They talk to him because they have to or because it's proper decorum to some degree, but they don't particularly like him. But it is fair to say, in fairness to him, that a lot of that might have to do with jealousy. When you have an iconic figure in the sports world like Kobe Bryant absolutely positively swearing by Rob Pelinka and what he means to basketball and how brilliant of a basketball mind he is, you got to pay attention to that because Kobe would know a thing or two about that. There's very few people on the planet he trusts more than Rob Pelinka. So that's important to point out. It's important to point out that Kobe Bryant is not the only talent that Rob Pelinka has represented. And there's plenty of guys that may be jealous or may have been in the past jealous or envious of the cachet that Rob Pelinka had and the job that he did, for all we know. And that might play a role in him being excoriated by some, clearly behind his back. But what's undeniable is that the combination of Magic and Rob Pelinka needs to be elevated. There needs to be somebody in the mix. You got Andy Ellsberg in Miami. There's Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. But you got a guy like Andy Ellsberg that monitors the cap and brings a lot of ideas to Pat Riley. And that can't be ignored. It truly cannot. I think that is incredibly, incredibly important. That's where I'm at with it. You look at a guy in Cleveland, Brock Aller, A-L-L-E-R. He was a personal assistant for Dan Gilbert for a decade, but then got elevated within basketball operations. He's done a hell of a job. And when you look at what he brings to the table, I don't think it's deniable that he could end up being an asset to the Los Angeles Lakers. And that's something that needs to happen as well. He's considered one of the best cap guys in the business by some. There's always somebody associated with a team that's unheard of, unsung. That's who the Lakers need. Rob Pelinka is a novice at a GM position. Magic Johnson is a novice as president of basketball operations. Those are not negative connotations. It just speaks to the fact that they both just started on the job. This is their second season. Magic Johnson, but to talk about this guy like, oh, so you got some executive out there talking about how Magic Johnson has ruined the Lakers. I'm sorry, what the hell were the Lakers before he got there? You were saddled with Timothy Mozgov and Luol Deng's contracts. Magic Johnson got LeBron James. Before that, he drafted Kyle Kuzma. Lonzo Ball's not a scrub. He just needs to be more assertive, more aggressive, and not be distracted by family issues, which has nothing to do with Magic. I think it's important to point those things out. I think it's important to recognize that. Because I'm here to tell you something right now. Magic didn't do a great job this year. I'll be the first to tell you that. But the jury is still out. The door isn't closed. The book isn't closed on Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. It's not like things can't be corrected. Lakers have cap space. They've got draft picks coming up. And we're talking about really acquiring somebody in free agency in order to be a title contender. And maybe Rick Buch is right. Maybe Kevin Durant is a done deal to go to the Knicks. All I'm saying to you is that I'm in no position to definitively say that. I've had plenty of people who have told me that, but I don't know that. Because Kevin Durant hasn't admitted that, and the people close to him deny that it's a done deal. Now, they could be lying. I don't know. And I don't particularly care. And if I recall my boy Champ in Detroit, if I recall him correctly, I think he's been telling me Kevin Durant's been a done deal in New York. Champ, if I misquote you, I apologize, but I think you said that to me. I don't know. You got people on the street. You got people in the NBA community. You got people in the hip-hop community because of Rock Nation and others, their affiliation with that, telling me it's a done deal as well. I don't know that. I don't know that. And the reason I don't know that, I'm going to tell you honestly. And I never wanted to say this because I think it's disrespectful to Kevin Durant. So if Kevin Durant's listening, I want to sit up there and tell you, I never said this, nor do I believe this. But I got to quote what somebody said about Kevin Durant. Man, it ain't done until it's done. He's an emotional dude. That man might swear he's going to sign with the Knicks and get emotional right before the press conference and change his mind. That's what they said. Now, I don't know that to be true. And I don't know how they were trying to say that because it was via text as opposed to their voice. And I got mad respect for Kevin Durant. We know how I felt about him going to Golden State, but that's me being an old school basketball kind of guy, not wanting you to jump on the wagon. But this brother's arguably the best player in basketball. This brother's elite. He's big time. And I'm not going to talk about him like that. So we'll see what happens. 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, I'll get into Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. My God, has that gotten ugly. There's a lot of stuff to be said about that as well. So don't miss it. I got to get into some of that as well. Plus, I get into Giannis and Joel Embiid and the whole Eastern Conference playoff picture, particularly now that the Milwaukee Bucks have clinched the #1 seed. But not before I get to your phone calls at 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. That was Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE networks. You are listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio. Back to your calls, or to your calls in just a second. By the way, though, hey, fellas, stop lounging around, please. Be active. Take your girl out. Go to a game or a concert. Get tickets to something. Plus, the NBA playoff season is almost here, and the time is now to jump on those tickets. For all your ticket needs, look no further than Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Go to vividseats.com and enter promo code ESPN to get 10% off your first order. Get out, go have an experience, fellas. Get to the game and use Vivid Seats. Don't just buy any seat, get a Vivid seat. 888-SAY-ESPN, that is the number to call. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought...
And wouldn't it be good, even if I don't care who you root for. You root for Milwaukee, you root for the Celtics, you root for the Hawks, you root for the Lakers, you root for whoever you root for. Tell me that the NBA is not better, is not bigger, doesn't have just a bigger feel in general when the Knicks are at least somewhat relevant. Guys are desperate to go to New York and perform on this enormous stage when the Knicks are 11-39. Could you imagine the attraction for other players if the Knicks were actually a team that was capable of doing anything and winning games? Now, God help me. Because you're a Knicks fan, and this is what runs through your mind. You'll get the 5th pick. You'll wind up with Bull. You'll wind up with Jimmy Butler, and you'll wind up with Chris Middleton. And that will be the result of this horrendous season. But maybe, just maybe, it won't be. Maybe, just maybe, for once, you get Zion. And I got to be honest, I love Zion. He's the guy. I think he's sensational. But if you told me right now, like if you locked it into me right now, Dave, let's make a deal. Remember that show, Let's Make a Deal? I might be dating myself, but Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. And it was on even recently on CBS. Let's make a deal. And they would say, here's the thing. You can have this, or you can hold off for another. If the NBA gods came to me right now and said, we will offer you Ja Morant, you will not get Zion, would you take that right now? My answer would be 100% yes. So if I could wind up with either Morant or Williamson, couple that together with the available free agents out there in the NBA, got to be Kevin Durant, potentially Kyrie. Durant's the big fish. If you get Durant and Middleton or Durant and Walker, I could live with it. But if you get that and you're the Knicks, I think immediately you're relevant. Immediately.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. And you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
ESPN Radio, ESPN News coming at you as I love to do. Number to call was always 888 say ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at progressive.com today. Let's go to the phones at 888 say ESPN. Champ, what's going on, bro? Talk to me.
What's up, bro? Before I get into the Kevin Durant, I just want to say you do an outstanding job on First Take as well as the radio show.
Thank you.
And a lot of people don't understand the work you have put in. And what I love about you more than anything, you always get guys credit. You know, the voices that's not there, you always get them credit, and I respect that because a lot of people in the business take for granted the sources out here in the world. But, you know, in terms of Rick Bucher, I think he does an outstanding job as well. And I've been on record, you know, since last year, or a couple of years ago, about Durant to New York. And one thing, it was a dream for me to see Durant to go to New York. But then talking to people out here in the world and, you know, sources, I think it's a done deal. I always thought it was a done deal. But I think what's interesting about what's about to happen this summer, I think L.A. and Boston, meaning the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics, going to play a major part to this whole Durant sweepstakes.
Why is that?
Here's why. He entertained Boston before he went to Golden State a few years ago, as well as he was supposed to get Houston an interview, and he didn't. And that kind of made the relationship between him and Harden, you know, kind of being like disarray. But this whole Boston piece, they have the pieces. If Golden State goes to them and say, hey, listen, we don't want you to go for nothing. We're going to re-sign Klay Thompson, and they do a sign and trade deal with Boston, I think then that may come into play. And then you got to understand, too, like you said, Durant could change his mind. What if LeBron sits down and they try to figure a way out to get Kyrie Irving?
All right, but see, here's the deal. Based on everything you're saying, it's not a lock that New York is the team. It's not a lock. That's the whole point. Listen, he can go or he may elect to go elsewhere, which is exactly my point. You know where my interest lies, Champ? I want to see who's interested in playing with each other. See, I want to see who cats are willing to compete against, not just whether or not they're willing to join forces. You see, and if you are going to join forces, I'm not going to lie to you. Durant with LeBron would definitely appease me. I would love to see that. I really, really, really would. I'd love to see what that is like. You understand? But I would prefer to see them going head to head against each other. But we've already seen what that's happened. What's happened because Kevin Durant was on a better team and he was, able to go right up against them. But I don't know if that'll ever happen. I'd love to see who's willing to go against each other, though.
Right, but again, I think this summer is going to be the first domino effect will be Klay Thompson. He re-signs with Golden State, and then the dominoes will fall from there. And I still believe that Durant will go to New York with Kyrie Irving and Jimmy Butler unless something changes. And then can the Clippers get Kawhi Leonard or can LeBron get Kawhi Leonard? I cannot see, with the way I look at basketball, KD and LeBron playing together and they vying to see who's the best and they playing the best. I mean, playing on one team. I just can't see that happen.
Yeah, you're probably right, but I don't know how the New York Knicks would get KD with Kyrie and Jimmy Butler.
Well, right now they have $32 million.
They got an additional $41 million in the Porzingis trade. New York Knicks are expected to have about $74 million available. And not only that, 76ers swear up and down they ain't trying to lose Jimmy Butler, even though I think their priority is going to be re-signing Tobias Harris. But I don't know if I don't know. I think the Knicks could potentially get two, or they might not get anybody. I definitely don't see them getting three different people though.
Well, the end is thing. If Klay Thompson re-signs with Golden State, and Durant leaves, and they fill the void with a three-man and make their bench deeper next year, they still will be the top two team to come out the West next year as a favorite. And if Durant goes to the New York Knicks with Kyrie Irving, we may be looking at a collision course of a Milwaukee, New York Conference Finals. And if LeBron get help, LeBron and the Lakers and Golden State, you talk about an NBA and bragging rights to say who's the best next year. Yeah. I think you got to pay attention to that.
I got you. I appreciate the call, bro. Right. Thanks so much for the call. Let's go to Devin. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., what's going on? Big time fan, first time calling.
Appreciate you, man. Go ahead.
Let's get into it. I'm having a hard time, so I want you to help me out with this. How Kevin Durant, according to a lot of people, has become the best player in the league. And let me help you out. When I hear people say that, I understand that, he's on Golden State. He has the better team. But what has LeBron did? Because I remember I forgot what game it was. You were at the game. You said LeBron, you felt sorry for LeBron because every time he passed the ball to wide open shooters, they would miss it. Right. So explain to me how that discredits him from being the best or laying the throne down, as a lot of people say.
Well, first of all, I think that what has happened is that there was a period when he got hurt and he came back, he wasn't himself. So it's not like he can't reclaim that throne. It's not so much an indictment against LeBron because we all knew that he was hurt. It's about paying attention and recognizing the fact that he ain't the only great player in the game. And we've ignored a guy that's the reigning two-time champion, two-time NBA Finals MVP, who averaged 35 in the finals against LeBron, who's a career 27-point per game scorer, who LeBron on his best day could never shoot better than. Now, KD can't sit up there and run over people the way LeBron James can either. Kevin Durant goes to the rim. Kevin Durant will dunk on folks. Kevin Durant shoots threes. Kevin Durant is a career 49% shooter when a vast majority of his shots are perimeter shots. He's a career 38% shooter from three-point range. This is what he does. LeBron James is struggling shooting 66% from the free throw line. Kevin Durant's damn near 90%. These are the kind of things at some point in time, Devin, we got to pay attention to.
I get that. I really do.
I guess what I'm saying, Devin, is that I think sometimes people just go with the eyes, and I don't blame that because the eye test matters. But there's more than one way to skin a cat. If Kevin Durant, when you watch Kevin Durant shoot this basketball, LeBron can't shoot like that. Now, he can't run over people like LeBron does, but LeBron can't shoot like him. It does matter that Kevin Durant, monetarily speaking, in terms of numbers, Kevin Durant does what LeBron does. How do we ignore that?
I'll say this, and I'll go after this.
Okay.
To dictate the game how LeBron can with shooters around him. To say that, I'll give you that. LeBron can't shoot like KD, but KD can on his best day. pass and dictate a game at pace the way LeBron does when he has the shooters that he wants around him. I think we're just taking the granted for his sake.
But you can put it that way. You know what my retort to that would be, Devin?
Go ahead.
He doesn't have to. Because LeBron, even though LeBron can score and even though he can shoot, the reality is that he's a playmaker who does those things. Kevin Durant is a pure assassin. So it's all about your preference. Why would if I'm on the court, Devin, right, and I'm on the court with you, and I got a better chance of making a shot from 30 than you do from 15, why would I pass you the ball?
Well, I guess it's like what you say. It's preference. Do I want to force up a good shot even though I know I'm a better shooter, or would I want to make the right play to the guy who's wide open? Preference, I guess it is
yes.
It is.
All I'm saying is that the fact that this is a discussion means that you don't be offended by knocking LeBron off that pedestal, but maybe you need to think about whether or not you're offending Kevin Durant by not putting him on it because he's that elite. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Appreciate the call, man. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Quote, buy, and save on home insurance with Progressive's new Home Quote Explorer. Only at Progressive.com. We'll continue with these calls before getting into Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy and then some in hour number 2. Don't touch that dial. It's Friday, but your boy Stephen A. is right here on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
Learn what affects your credit scores and what you can do to improve them with Credit Karma. Maybe you need to dispute an error in your credit report, or you're paying too much interest. Credit Karma can help with that. Visit creditkarma.com or download the app now. That's creditkarma.com.
You really could go 55 wins next year if you're able to get one of the big kids in the draft and you get Durant and you figure that's packaged with Kyrie Irving. Teams don't go from dreadful, laughingstock, embarrassing to great like that. Maybe they could. Maybe there's a possibility that the Knicks would actually finally step in it and this could work out. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Now, here's the thing. Because Durant's career is kind of shaped in a couple of different areas. Number one was his OKC days. And he was great, and he was a scorer, and he was a wonderful player. But in the end, I mean, let's be fair. He was incapable of ultimately getting it done. Then he goes to Golden State, and let's be fair. There's a lot of people that learn of him going to Golden State and think, you know what? It's weak-minded. It's very easy to join a team that is just so good. So he's going to go join a team which is 73 wins and a Draymond Green suspension away from winning a championship, and he's going to join that, and he does. And he pushes them over the top. But I guess the question is that, and he could retire tomorrow, and he's had one of the great NBA careers that we've seen. But you know what else? He has a chance to do something that not a lot have a chance to do, and that is come to New York, play for the Knicks, and lead them to victories, and lead them to, ultimately, the championship. And that does not happen. No one has done that. I mean, literally, the Knicks have not won a championship in my lifetime. 1973 is the last time. 1970 is the time before that. The game has completely changed. And there were times in the 90s where the Knicks were a team, you looked at them and say, you know what? With Patrick Ewing and Oakley and Mason and Starks, they're a good basketball team, but they could never get over the hump. And I don't even know if the Knicks fan needs the title right now. They need hope. And that in lies what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and maybe Zion present to the Knicks is hope.
Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests of the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
ESPN Radio, ESPN News coming at you live from above the Heineken River Deck at Pier 17. Let's get back to the phones at 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Get back to the phones before we start off hour number 2, getting into some football. Let's go to Melvin. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mel?
Stephen A., my man.
How are you, sir? Go ahead, my man.
I'm good. I was just wanted to talk about the Kevin Durant situation.
Go ahead.
What people reading too much into is I believe Kevin Durant said he was going to the team that offers him the most money. Am I correct with that? Or
No, he's not. You're not correct with that because clearly the Golden State Warriors could offer him more money than anybody because he's with them. And clearly anybody else that he goes to would give the max of what they have available to them. Excuse me, what his contract will allow. So whether it's staying in Golden State or going someplace else, Kevin Durant will get the max or something close to it. It ain't damn near even a negotiation. So you're wrong about that.
Okay, my bad. Well, I think that Kevin Durant just wants to prove to the Golden State Warriors that he is the man on the team. Because sometimes it just seems like they think that Steph is better and all. That's not.
You know what? You know why I disagree with you? If Kevin Durant leaves, I don't believe that Kevin Durant ever intended to stay more than capturing a few titles. If he elects to leave, I think it was a decision that was made years ago. I don't think that there's anything, whether it's him and Draymond getting into it during a Clippers game early in the season or something else. I don't think any of that has anything to do with anything. I think Kevin Durant made his decision a long time ago that he would be in Golden State X number of years and then he would leave. If he decides to leave, it's because he never intended to end his career in the Golden State area. It's one thing to join Steph Curry. It's another thing entirely to live in his shadow for the rest of your career. So Kevin Durant knew this. This isn't something that's new to him. I think he always knew. I got to run, Melvin. I appreciate the call. Let's go to Chris. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick, Chris. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Uncle Steven.
What's going on, man?
Yeah, I agree with what you said about Kevin Durant in that previous call. But I want to get into John Morant. What do you think is the best fit for him? And the other question is, did you hear about Jerry Stackhouse getting hired at Vanderbilt?
Of course I heard about Jerry Stackhouse getting hired at Vanderbilt. I wish him nothing but the best. I would have liked to have seen him become an NBA coach. I don't know how much success he's going to have in the SEC at Vanderbilt, but he does have the capability to have some success. I think he's going to be able to recruit very well. I know that he knows his basketball, and he's an incredibly good guy. I'm proud of him. I'm happy for him. We've been friends, and I've known Jerry Stackhouse a long time. I got a lot of love for him, and I wish him nothing but the best. And go Vanderbilt. Got to go down there to see those Commodores, particularly with Stackhouse as their coach. To answer your question about John Morant, I think the two situations that are best for him would be Phoenix or Phoenix or Chicago is presently constructed, because I think both Devin Booker and Zach LaVine desperately need a point guard. But if I preferred having him anywhere, I think the LA market and the spotlight and things of that nature, I think Lonzo Ball would be better off somewhere else. I think the Lakers would be better off without Lonzo Ball. I would love to see a guy like John Morant get picked up if he was the second overall pick and the Lakers had that luxury of being in a position to grab him. I doubt that will happen. As a result, you keep Alonzo Ball. But John Morant, to me, is a slighter frame, a lighter version of Russell Westbrook. I'm really high on him right now. I got a lot of faith in him, and I'd love to see him in a major market making some things happen, but that's just me. 888-SAY-ESPN, it's 888-729-3776. Hour number 2 up next. We'll get in the former Green Bay Packers coach Mike McCarthy and whether or not Aaron Rodgers may have ruined his career. I'll explain hour number 2 in a minute.
The Stephen A. Smith Show starts right now.
to hour number 2 of the Stephen A. Smith Show here with you over the airwaves of ESPN Radio and ESPN News, 250 plus markets across the United States of America, plus ESPN Radio on Sirius XM Channel 80, plus ESPN Radio simulcast over the live national television airwaves of ESPN News. Number to call up as always is 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. The Stephen A. Smith Show is being brought to you by Credit Karma. Get your truly free credit scores and free credit monitoring from Credit Karma today. That's Credit Karma, K-A-R-M-A. Get knowing. Hour number 2 is upon us. There's a couple of things that I needed to get into. I'll get into some football stuff as well, but I just have to say this. It needs to be addressed. For some inexplicable reason, Jonathan, Nuno, everybody, for some inexplicable reason, I have been all over the news. I can't believe it. I have been all over the news. Now, what say you would be remotely newsworthy about me? Andrew Marchand, former colleague at ESPN, now writing for the New York Post, writes an article speculating what I am worth. And for some odd reason, people have struggled to read. Because they've read that article, and a whole bunch of people out there have an opinion about ESPN actually giving me X, Y, and Z. First of all, I am under contract for another 2 years. Secondly, there is no negotiation that's going on that I am aware of. And it's my life, so I would be aware of it. There's no negotiation going on about me. Thirdly, if it did happen, it'd be none of your damn business until it was finalized. Point number 1. Point number 2. I respect and love this business. I am honored to be a member of the ESPN family. Whatever happens in my future, happens. If something happens and a contract offer comes my way and I like it, beautiful. If it doesn't come my way, I still got 2 years. And I'm going to show up and do my job to the best of my ability. Sometimes, most times, I'm going to be pretty, in my opinion, I'm going to be pretty damn good at what I'm doing, if not great. Other times, I'm going to slip up. When you talk 20 live hours a week, and that's just half the damn job you do, things happen. So, whatever happens, happens. All I wanted to say is that there is no contract. There is no contract negotiations that I am aware of. And people out there, people who feel that I deserve it, thank you. People who have written, I deserve more, thank you very much. Because your opinion would side with me. But I'm cool and I'm happy and I like what I'm doing now and I'm perfectly content serving out the final 2 years of my contract here. So everybody cool out and relax, okay? Enough with the congratulations about something that I don't need to be congratulated for because there's no contract negotiation. And I can assure you I'm not making what they're saying I'm making. I can promise you that. And for the record, no disrespect to anybody, I have yet to see a number out there that I don't believe I don't deserve. My work ethic, my commitment to excellence, what I strive to do every day, and what I bring to the table for any damn body that I work for. I put myself up against anybody on this planet. So let me be very, very clear about that. But whatever happens, happens. I've never been happier in my career than I am right now. And I've got a team that works with me, that supports me every single day. To the people here on this radio show with Nuno and John and Cat Pastor, Troy Keller's leadership over the audio department, to Dave Roberts, probably the greatest boss I've ever had in my life, to Norby Williamson and Jimmy Pitaro and Connor Shell, phenomenal guys, incredibly knowledgeable about this business that makes it an honor for me to work with them and for them every day. And to the people on First Take, especially people in the background, the Chuck Soliteros of the world, the Antoine Lewis, Brian Borks, the Kevin Reeders of the world, Dominique Collins. These people are fantastic. I'm living the good life. For however long that lasts, I'm living a good life. And I'm working for the worldwide leader. It ain't bad. And possibly the happiest part of my moment, of my career, is the representation. Rashawn McDonald, my business manager, to Mark Shapiro, who's the president of Endeavor, but a personal friend that has taken it upon himself to guide my career. I can't think of one human being alive that I would rather place my career in their hands than him. And to be backed up by him and Rashawn McDonald and Josh Pyatt and John Rosen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on cloud 9. My life is pretty damn good. No matter what happens. But if something were happening, I wouldn't feel the need to be talking to y'all right now. I'm just talking to y'all because I can't believe people writing articles like I done signed some extension. No, I haven't. There hasn't even been a negotiation. And I'm not asking for one. I'm perfectly fine. Got 2 years left. Serve my time. It's all right. All of y'all relax. Okay? Let's move on. Now, Bleacher Report comes out with a story about what really led to the departure of Mike McCarthy, and obviously how he and Aaron Rodgers were not on the same page. And look, I'm not going to read the whole damn article to y'all over the airways. I would tell you these are the nuggets that led to their departure. And credit my producer, Jonathan Winthrop, for sort of peeling apart, reading the article and peeling apart the nuggets that he wanted me to focus on, because he's right. These are very, very valid points. According to the Bleacher Report's Tyler Dunn, who talked to dozens of former players, coaches, and personnel about the feud that tore the Packers apart. 1. Aaron Rodgers froze out receivers who listened to coaches over him. McCarthy skipped meetings for massages. By the way, for anybody out there who needs a massage, the name is Andrea Woodard. She's spectacular. I ain't never had a massage better in my life than the ones that she gives. She's sensational. Just want to throw that out there. Point number 2. Packers receivers ran the same route for 7 years. Rivals constantly knew what was coming. Rodgers ended up changing about 1/3 of McCarthy's plays. Point number 3. Money and star status gave Rodgers unprecedented power. Former Packers tight end Jermichael Finley wrote, he's not a natural born leader. Or said he's not a natural born leader. Former quarterback coach Alex Van Pelt challenged Rodgers, and Rodgers respected him. But McCarthy felt threatened, so he let Van Pelt go. If you recall, they never even consulted Aaron Rodgers when they got rid of Van Pelt. I don't blame Aaron Rodgers for being ticked off about that one. Point number 5. McCarthy tried to demand more of Rodgers as a man. He even told him to call his estranged mother. Rodgers didn't want to hear it. I'd have a difficult time if I didn't have the greatest relationship with somebody, with them coming up to me, talking to me about how I needed to communicate with family members too, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think that's a blemish against Aaron Rodgers. I don't. It's none of anybody's damn business what's going on with him and his family. Point number 6. McCarthy needed a roster of veterans to keep Rodgers in check. Instead, former GM Ted Thompson was falling asleep in meetings. So basically, you had a former GM that was falling asleep in meetings and a head coach that was getting a massage during meetings. Ladies and gentlemen, these things they qualify as a problem. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there, and I could go on and on and on including McCarthy's gone. Packers have a modern coach. They're signing free agents. Former Packers Greg Jennings said, quote, just as much as Rodgers is a part of the problem, he's a big part of the solution. According to sources that had spoken to Aaron Rodgers once upon a time had said Mike McCarthy has a low football IQ, and that used to always bother Aaron. He'd say Mike has one of the lowest IQs, if not the lowest IQ of any coach he's ever had. End quote. Here's my issue. Here's what I have a problem with. I got a problem with anybody who wants to point to Aaron Rodgers, to blame Aaron Rodgers for what happened to McCarthy as it pertains to these quotes. Aaron Rodgers didn't say anything publicly. Aaron Rodgers didn't go out and talk to anybody. If anything, these are people betraying Aaron Rodgers by revealing private conversations he had with them. He didn't say anything. If I get off this microphone and I go home to the comforts of my own house and I have a conversation with somebody who's going to dime out what I said, that ain't my fault. Now, you can sit there and say it's my fault because I might have trusted the wrong person, but that's about all you got. Aaron Rodgers didn't speak out against McCarthy publicly. So what's the problem? So I think that's important to point out. Point number 2, nobody's trying to absolve Aaron Rodgers. My man Marcus Spears, he was on Get Up this morning, then came on First Take, former Dallas Cowboys, now an extraordinary NFL analyst for us. Listen, I love seeing him on Get Up, by the way, and I love seeing him on First Take because I don't think he should be saddled with just college football. And I think one of the people that deserve an abundance of credit is Paul Feinbaum, because if I remember correctly, Winthrop, he was always on with Paul Feinbaum. Marcus Spears is a hell of a football analyst. Hell of a football analyst. I love the guy. I really do. And I think he's doing an outstanding job for us. But I disagree with him today. And the reason why I disagree with him, he's like, we talk about McCarthy and we talked about Ted Thompson. We have not talked enough about Aaron Rodgers. I'll tell you why we didn't talk enough about Aaron Rodgers. Because Aaron Rodgers is a bad man. Whoa! That's a bad brother. That's why. Now, if you are Antonio Brown, the best at what you do at the receiver position, arguably, if you are Le'Veon Bell, the best at what you do at the running back position, arguably, and you're going up against Ben Roethlisberger, who is not the best at what he does, even though he's pretty damn good and a future Hall of Famer, that's one thing. But when you are Aaron freaking Rodgers, the greatest talent that we have ever seen at the quarterback position in the history of the NFL, we're supposed to sit up there and talk about disciplining and critiquing him in an adverse way because of Mike McCarthy? Really? Every now and then, there are members of the competitors. He's on Fox and Chris Carter with Nick Wright and Jenna Wolf. They're doing First Things First in the morning. You usually don't hear one network talking about another, whatever the case may be. Damn that. Chris Carter is my friend and my brother. I love him. I miss him being here. And I think he's an outstanding football analyst. Outstanding. But I don't always agree with him either. And I don't get a chance to watch him that much because I got work to do. But I heard him for a minute this morning in a clip that I was watching online. And these people talking about Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers is not the leader. And Aaron Rodgers alienated guys. And Aaron Rodgers, shut up. Not to you, Chris. Talk about people out there. Football analysts, football aficionados got a perspective. I get all of that. But this notion, nobody's saying that Aaron Rodgers is blameless. Please don't get me wrong. Nobody's saying that he can be completely absolved. But damn it, to the victor goes the spoils. When you're great and you're phenomenal and you go out there and you perform, and because of others' inefficiencies, because of others' incompetence, because of others' lack of leadership, because of others' lack of production, you have to carry a heavier load. Damn it, you don't deserve to be treated the same. You deserve to be treated on an elevated perch. Because you're the one that's saddled with the responsibility. Last time I checked, Aaron Rodgers went to the playoffs 8 straight years. This man went 15-1 one season with a defense that ranked dead last. This man won a Super Bowl. This man did a lot of things and carried this franchise on his back. This man once scored 45 points in a playoff game and lost. I mean, come on. You do get to a point where you're like, well, damn, how much more can I do? Well, damn, how much of this load am I going to have to carry? Well, damn, am I allowed to get tired? Am I allowed to get sick? Am I allowed not to be on my A game? Can somebody cover me? I mean, the Green Bay Packers situation got so bad at times on the other side of the ball. It got so bad sometimes in terms of the archaic way in which Mike McCarthy might have went about doing things that Aaron Rodgers probably had to go to church on Sunday just to get covered, meaning spiritually covered. Because he damn sure ain't have much help on the field. You are right. When I saw that clip of my man Chris Carter break it down how, you know what, it ain't just about talent. Talent can't be everything. Talent doesn't mean you're a great leader. Talent doesn't mean you're great in the locker room. Talent doesn't mean blah, blah, blah. All true. I got a different question, though. What the hell happens to all of those categories, to all of those things when you don't have talent? Can't have it all. Can't have it all. And I'm not trying to sit up there and say that everything is Mike McCarthy's fault. What I am saying, however, is this. You know you got Aaron Rodgers. Now I don't give a damn, you got to give that man a pedicure. Figure it out. Figure it out. You can't be there for years and years. You're going to fire the quarterback coach without consulting him. 1 minute you calling the plays, the next thing you know, you giving it up. Another minute you taking it back. You're Mike McCarthy. You've been there. I'm not going to sit up here, ladies and gentlemen, and give ultra credence to the reports that Mike McCarthy didn't know what he's doing. That man won a Super Bowl. That man was coaching. That man went to the playoffs 8 straight years. I got to show respect. I'm not going to disrespect that man like that. And also, I think that I'm sad because with this stuff coming out, Mike McCarthy may never get a head coaching job again. You can't have arguably the greatest talent at the quarterback position this game has ever seen being attached to your name in a way so derogatory, so incendiary that people look at you and say, damn, we don't know if we can take the chance on you. That might have been why Mike McCarthy didn't get the Cleveland Browns job. That might have been the case. So all I'm saying is, look, you got to look at the situation for what it is. You got to pay attention to all of that. And then you got to reach the conclusion that, again, here's where we go with all of this. Mike McCarthy, his career is in a world of trouble. It really, really is. And it's for this reason. But guess why it is, ladies and gentlemen? Because at some point in time, if you're an executive, knowing that there are a multitude of things that come with it, you're still going to find yourself asking one very, very, very important question. You had Aaron Rodgers for all of these years, and all you could do is get to and win one Super Bowl? Never got back? Never won one, obviously. Never won another one, obviously. Aaron Rodgers? Oh, by the way, who had Jordy Nelson the vast majority of that time? Oh, by the way, who had Randall Cobb some of those times? Oh, by the way, had Greg Jennings some of those times? And you got one Super Bowl to show for it? If Aaron Rodgers wasn't so great, people wouldn't engage in such incredulity over such things. But they are. Because we all know the truth. In the sport of football, when you have somebody like that, you got to close. If you have LeBron James and you don't have a title at all to show for it, that's a problem. The only reason why Ty Lue, you got to give him credit for credit's due. 4 straight NBA Finals appearances or 3 under his watch and a championship. The reason why you don't hold Ty Lue accountable for more than that is because you saw the juggernaut of a squad Golden State had. Could you imagine if Steve Kerr only had 1 ring with the bomb squad that he has? Could you imagine that? See, to me, we should be looking at guys like McCarthy. We should look at Sean Payton. I like Sean Payton. I don't like the way he acted over the bogus no call, which was utterly ridiculous. But I like Sean Payton. But damn it, you got Drew Brees, man. Now I understand if you losing to Aaron Rodgers and that's why you didn't get it. See, when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, there was a reason the Knicks didn't win. There was a reason Cleveland couldn't win. When they had Greg Elo and Larry Nance and Brad Daugherty and Mark Price and those boys. There was a reason the Patriots couldn't win with Reggie Miller and the Davises and all of those guys. There was a reason the Knicks couldn't win with Ewing and Oakley and Charles Smith and those boys. There was a reason Charles Barkley didn't get a championship when he was in Phoenix. Because if MJ wasn't standing in his way, with him having Kevin Johnson and Dan Marley and those boys, Barkley would have won a title. You think Gary Payton and Sean Kemp, before he became Sean Kemp, wouldn't have won a title in Seattle if Michael Jordan wasn't standing in their way? You think Karl Malone and John Stockton would not have won a title in the 2 NBA Finals appearances that they had if they didn't have to run into Michael Jordan? You think Clyde Drexler with Jerome Kersey and Terry Porter and those boys and wouldn't have won a title if Michael Jordan wasn't standing in their way? That's why you forgive them for what they're not able to get done, because Michael Jordan was standing in their way. If you're Mike McCarthy, no, you had Michael Jordan in the form of Aaron Rodgers. And that's what's counted against you. For those of y'all that don't like it, I have a solution for you. Why don't you just get out of the business of sports? Of course, I'm not talking about my man Chris. She's a Hall of Famer. If anything, he gets to tell me not to get in sports, not the other way around. Talking about for you young whippersnappers out there. When you have somebody that great, you got to get something done. Got to get something done. That's just the way I look at it. 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. We'll get back to your calls in more in a minute, so don't touch that dial. Fellas, by the way, stop lounging around. Be active. Take your girl out. Go to a game or a concert. Get tickets to something. Plus, the NBA season is almost here, and the time is now to jump on those tickets. For all your ticket needs, look no further than Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Go to vividseats.com and enter promo code ESPN to get 10% off your first order. Get out, go have an experience, fellas. Get to the game and use Vivid Seats. Don't buy just any seat. Get a Vivid Seat. Your calls in more in a minute with Stephen A. ESPN Radio. The Stephen A. Smith.
And wouldn't it be good, even if I don't care who you root for. You root for Milwaukee, you root for the Celtics, you root for the Hawks, you root for the Lakers, you root for whoever you root for. Tell me that the NBA is not better, is not bigger, doesn't have just a bigger feel in general when the Knicks are at least somewhat relevant. Guys are desperate to go to New York and perform on this enormous stage when the Knicks are 11-39. Could you imagine the attraction for other players if the Knicks were actually a team that was capable of doing anything and winning games? Now, God help me. Because you're a Knicks fan, and this is what runs through your mind. You'll get the 5th pick, you'll wind up with Bol, you'll wind up with Jimmy Butler, and you'll wind up with Chris Middleton. And that will be the result of this horrendous season. But maybe, just maybe, it won't be. Maybe, just maybe, for once, you get Zion. And I got to be honest, I love Zion. He's the guy. I think he's sensational. But if you told me right now, like if you locked it into me right now, Dave, let's make a deal. Remember that show, Let's Make a Deal? I might be dating myself, but Let's Make a Deal with Monty Hall. And it was on even recently on CBS. Let's make a deal. And they would say, here's the thing. You can have this, or you can hold off for another. If the NBA gods came to me right now and said, we will offer you Ja Morant, you will not get Zion, would you take that right now? My answer would be 100% yes. So if I could wind up with either Morant or Williamson, couple that together with the available free agents out there in the NBA, got to be Kevin Durant, potentially Kyrie. Durant's the big fish. If you get Durant and Middleton or Durant and Walker, I could live with it. But if you get that and you're the Knicks, I think immediately you're relevant. Immediately.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Lean. 30 minutes past hour number 2 back in the Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's get back to the phones. 888-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. John, you're live with Stephen A. Talk to me, man.
What's up, Stephen A?
I'm good. Talk to me. What's up? You live on the air, bro.
Let me get direct to it. The Packers as a whole, that organization, they got lazy because of the talent of Aaron Rodgers. You can see, obviously, all the plays, getting in the playoffs, the using his legs, Hail Marys. Those were all Aaron Rodgers. No coaching, no nothing. That was just straight go out there and play, pick them up, mess them up almost when it came to games where they won or they had to squeeze out. There was no skill or plays really set. So when it comes to that McCarthy-Aaron Rodgers dynamic, that's believable. Because most of the games they play, we as fans or as sports anybody, we watched Aaron Rodgers use his legs, damn near get his neck broke. He had to throw this way, back shoulder, down the sideline, tight windows. So we kind of knew, like, the Packers as a whole, when it comes to the McCarthy and the organization, they really was lackadaisical.
Let me tell you something right now. Let me tell you something, John. John, are you listening to me?
Loud and clear.
You want me to tell you what the hell I think about what you just said? You right on point, bro. I believe you right on point, John. I got to tell you something. I like that analogy. They got lazy because they knew they had him. Because in successful situations, when you have a superstar, particularly one who grinds and is consistent about getting the job done, what do you usually do with that person? You lean on them to hold a greater responsibility on their shoulders than everybody else.
Why wouldn't you see this talent and add pieces like a Robert Kraft or like anybody? Try your best to make sure we keep this man as healthy, arm as straight and as possible, and as less confrontation or whatever this man needs. If he like his water cold, make sure his water is cold. If he just because of the simple fact we have a good thing going. So they need to add since Greg Jennings left, I really ain't seen no top flight receiver over there. All due respect to Jordy, we know he got locked up and embarrassed at times. He got injured. Jordy's a good route runner. I said a beast. He don't have not a beast over there.
I got you.
They don't want.
I got you.
Really,
but Jordy was pretty damn. Jordy, I got to run, man. I appreciate the call, John, but Jordy was pretty damn good. Jordy was better but other than Megatron, Jordy was damn near better than anybody else y'all had in Detroit. Tell you that much. Even though Golden Tate, I gotta be careful about what I'm saying because I like him. Let's go to Nathan. You're live, Stephen A. What's up?
What's good, Stephen A?
I'm good.
First time caller.
Thank you. Go ahead, man. Speak.
So the Knicks are about to lock up this top five pick, I should say. And next year, if free agency goes well, they could have a starting five of Kyrie. Probably not going to get Zion, but like RJ, Kevin Knox, KD, Mitchell Robinson. I mean, how far could you logistically see that going?
How far can I logistically see what going?
Them, like, next year playoffs.
Knicks?
Yeah.
You saying if they don't get a star?
No, I'm saying if they get Kyrie and KD.
I was getting ready to say, you almost had a heart attack that you would ask such an ignorant question. Because I thought you were saying without a star. Oh, okay. If they get Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, guaranteed trip to the semifinals of the Eastern Conference playoffs, potentially the finals, but they'd have their work cut out for them.
Okay.
All right? Thanks for the call. Bobby, you're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Stephen A., longtime fan.
Thank you.
What I was going to say is, I know you love Aaron Rodgers. I understand
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
But I think people give him a pass because he said, well, McCarthy, he only makes playoffs for 11 years. But nobody didn't say, everybody got on Peyton Manning. He had garbage for defense, and he never missed the playoffs. Ever.
Well, first of all, the last 2 years, Aaron Rodgers got injured. That's number one. So it could have easily been 10-plus years that he made it to the playoffs. He played at 50% last year because he got hurt very, very early. And the season before, he missed an abundance of games because of Anthony Barr and that hit on him. But he had made the playoffs the 8 previous years. So I don't want to hear that comparison because Aaron Rodgers you may have been able to say the same thing about him. What's your other point?
Yeah, but Peyton Manning was playing with a broken neck the last couple of years of Indianapolis.
Let me ask you a question. Did Denver win the Super Bowl because of Peyton Manning, or did they win it because of their defense?
Defense.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
But the first time the whole team fell away.
What?
The first time he went to the Super Bowl with the Denver Broncos, his whole team
when
collapsed.
they got destroyed by Seattle?
His whole team collapsed.
Yep. Okay. So what's your point?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not saying Peyton Manning was the reason why they won the Super Bowl. I'm saying when he was in Indianapolis, he always had a horrid defense.
Not always. That's number one. Tony Dungy was there. That was not always the case. That is false. Number one. And number two, again, Peyton Manning is one of the greatest to have ever played the game, and he's got 2 Super Bowl championships on his resume. But there were plenty of times throughout his career where he came up short, and we all know that. And by the way, he had Tony Dungy. He had Tony Dungy as his coach. Ultimately, he ended up having John Fox when he first arrived in Denver. And then the name escapes me, the former coach in Houston that ultimately went to Denver and got them the Super Bowl title before he had to step away from the game due to health reasons, even though he's trying to get back into it now. But I get where you're coming from. I don't understand what you're saying. But I got to go. And I appreciate the call nevertheless. But Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. He's a bad brother. And when you look at Green Bay, I don't think you can compare the situation that he's dealing with to the one that exists in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers right now, or comparing that to Peyton Manning's situation in Indy. Let's go to Charlie. You're live with Stephen A. What's up?
Hey, Stephen A., thanks for taking my call, man. I'm just interested in getting your opinion on
Gary Kubiak, by the way. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
The obsession that people have with Aaron Rodgers, his demeanor, his personality off the field. I'm a lifelong Packer fan. I could care less who he's dating, if he gets along with his brother, if he's bristly to fans and media. I just care that he can shred a defense on Sunday, and he's done that for years. So why are people so obsessed with his personality?
Well, what they're really, really trying to do is put some culpability on his shoulders for the way others have performed around him. That's what they're really, really trying to do.
Yeah, but I mean, as a professional in the NFL, why are people so hung up on?
Because truth be told, that sounds good, but from a human element perspective, it is incumbent and very important to point out that no matter whether you're kids or you're adult, there's always a hierarchy to everything in life. There are players and then there are leaders. Okay? And could Aaron Rodgers be a better leader? Sure he could. But to me, that didn't dissipate the culpability and responsibility that should have been placed on the shoulders of McCarthy, and to a lesser degree, or to as much of a degree, as former GM Ted Thompson as well. All of them had a responsibility to do a better job than they did.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you. Let's go to Mac. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Mac?
Hey, Stephen A., I got to tell you, I think you are one of the most remarkable hypocrites on the planet, and I will tell you why. Okay. And this is not your average suck-up call.
Hold on. How's it a suck-up call if you started off by calling me a hypocrite, so clearly it's not a suck-up, but go ahead.
Well, just in case you didn't get it. Anyway, you hammer LeBron for being this media hound, okay, when you, without any skins in the game, sit on the air criticizing people. You don't have blood, sweat, and tears in the game. At least he does. All you have is criticism, and you get paid well just to be loud and to go up on other people. LeBron's got skins in the game.
Well, first of all, the biggest hypocrite would happen to be you. Why? Because this ain't your job. It's actually my job. I get paid to do what I do. You're doing this for free towards me. So who's the bigger hypocrite? The bottom line is that I get paid to cover the world of sports, and you can sit up there, and because I love people like you who want to sit up there and talk about me talking. Excuse me, I would tell you the same thing I would tell any player. I would tell you the same thing I would tell anybody. I've been doing this for 25 years, but not television. I wrote for a living. I was a journalist. I covered stuff as a beat writer. I worked my tail off to get to the position where I could sit on in front of a microphone or sit on TV and give a critique. Long before I was giving a critique, I had to report. But you got bloggers and you got other people in the media who've never had those responsibilities. You ain't calling them up when they're critical of players. And oh, by the way, I'm not getting personal. I'm talking about the game. So as a sports fan, don't tell me, Mac, that you don't sit home or you don't go to work or you not sit in your car driving or whatever the case may be and come up with a critique about what you're watching or what you're seeing in the world of sports. The difference between me and you is that I get paid to do it. You don't. Goodbye. Have a nice day. Patrick, go ahead.
Hi, Stephen. How are you today?
I'm all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, you made a comment earlier about, I agree 99%. You made a comment, something about Aaron Rodgers. You wouldn't believe it because Aaron Rodgers never did a press conference about McCarthy.
No, what I was saying, what I was saying is the quotes that were attributed to Aaron Rodgers, he didn't say them to anybody publicly. That's what I was saying.
Perfect. Good. I'm glad you said it because my point for that is I don't think you ever get those because I do believe.
Step back from the mic because you sound a bit muffled. Step back from the mic so we can hear you clearly. Go ahead.
Okay. I believe he's a passive aggressive leader. And passive aggressive leaders don't confront people face to face, man to man. They have a tendency to talk about people behind other people's backs. Mm-hmm. And I think it takes that one piece of his leadership that he can work on from what I'm reading out of that article and what others have said about him, because I agree, he's a bad man. But I think there's a place there for him to grow as a leader.
Okay, there's places for him to grow. Let's not bore our audience with that point. Here's the bigger point: should McCarthy have won more with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback? Come on! Give it up!
I've watched great quarterbacks like Dan. I'm 52. I've watched great quarterbacks.
Come on, man. I don't need a soliloquy. Give me an answer. Answer the question. Do you want a dial tone? You get to answer my question, not your question. Answer my question. Should Mike McCarthy have won more with Aaron Rodgers? Yes or no?
I think they won exactly what they deserve to win.
Okay. Bye. Have a nice day. 888-SAY-ESPN. We got to get on out of here in a second. You're listening live to Stephen A. Smith Show, ESPN Radio, ESPN News. I'll close out the show with your calls in just a minute. You know what never goes out of style? Surprising a friend or loved one with a buy one, get one free multicolored rose bouquets for $29.99 from 1-800-Flowers.com. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Your calls close out the show in a minute with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News.
You really could go 55 wins next year if you're able to get one of the big kids in the draft and you get Durant and you figure that's packaged with Kyrie Irving. Teams don't go from dreadful, laughingstock, embarrassing to great like that. Maybe they could. Maybe there's a possibility that the Knicks would actually finally step in it and this could work out. 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. Now, here's the thing. Because Durant's career is kind of shaped in a couple of different areas. Number one was his OKC days. And he was great, and he was a scorer, and he's a wonderful player. But in the end, I mean, let's be fair. He was incapable of ultimately getting it done. Then he goes to Golden State, and let's be fair. There's a lot of people that learn of him going to Golden State and think, you know what? It's weak-minded. It's very easy to join a team that is just so good. So he's going to go join a team which is 73 wins and a Draymond Green suspension away from winning a championship, and he's going to join that, and he does, and he pushes them over the top. But I guess the question is that, and he could retire tomorrow, and he's had one of the great NBA careers that we've seen. But you know what else? He has a chance to do something that not a lot have a chance to do, and that is come to New York, play for the Knicks, and lead them to victories, and lead them to, ultimately, the championship. And that does not happen. No one has done that. I mean, literally, the Knicks have not won a championship in my lifetime. 1973 is the last time. 1970 is the time before that. The game has completely changed. And there were times in the 90s where the Knicks were a team, you looked at them and say, you know what? With Patrick Ewing and Oakley and Mason and Starks, they're a good basketball team, but they could never get over the hump. And I don't even know if the Knicks fan needs the title right now. They need hope. And that in lies what Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving and maybe Zion present to the Knicks is hope.
The Stephen A. Smith Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Stephen A. Smith Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, and you can always get in touch with the show through the 1-800-Flowers Twitter feed.
Tune in to rivalry this Sunday as the Rockies host the Dodgers, presented by Indeed. Coverage of Sunday Night Baseball begins at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app, and at 8:30 p.m. on ESPN. By the way, I've got Michigan State beating Texas Tech. Auburn losing to Virginia. I've got Michigan State and Virginia meeting for the national title Monday night. I hope I'm wrong, though. I want Auburn to beat Virginia. I just don't know if it'll happen. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Remington. You're live with Stephen A. Real quick. Go ahead.
All right. My question is Drew Brees. If he was drafted to New England and had the same opportunities as Tom Brady his whole career, do you think the success rate would be the same?
Yes.
Do you think he'd have the same amount of Super Bowls and all?
Yes.
And that goes to any great quarterback, not just Drew Brees.
I think, let me put it to you this way. I think with Drew Brees, it'll be the same. I think it would be less with Big Ben Roethlisberger because he's prone to more mistakes. I think it would have been even more titles with Aaron Rodgers.
More with Aaron Rodgers?
Yep, because I think Aaron Rodgers would not have made the mistakes. I think he would have thrown a deep ball even better, even though they didn't have that with outside of Randy Moss to throw to, even though they had quality receivers. But here's the other thing. Because of his versatility, his ability to be mobile as a quarterback, I think that Bill Belichick could have utilized him in different ways. So here's what I'm saying to you, just to be clear, Remington, okay? I think they would have won the titles that they had won. But I don't believe they would have had a 10-year absence from winning a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers and Bill Belichick. I don't think they would have lost to the Giants twice, okay? I don't believe that. And I don't believe they would have lost in a shootout to Philadelphia with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback. So I'd say to you that I think that Aaron Rodgers would have 2 more Super Bowls than Brady if he was the one coaching quarterback in New England than Tom Brady. As everything presently constructed. That's what I believe. I got to get on out of here. I hope y'all have a wonderful week, and I'm looking forward to the Final Four tomorrow. Can't wait. Plus some NBA action all weekend long. I'm hyped. Hope y'all are too. Talk to y'all Monday. Until then, peace and love.
Hey, what's up? It's Will Kane. Coming up right after Stephen A.